This week on Commercial Real Estate Secrets, we are talking all things online lead gen, what it means to rank number one as a commercial real estate broker on Google, how to rank number one as a commercial real estate agent on Google, and what the future of SEO and AI holds. We'll see you inside. This week's listener of the week is CX. CX, thank you so much for leaving us a 5-star review. And for those of you listening, if you leave us a 5-star review below, you might be next week's listener of the week. This week on Commercial Real Estate Secrets, we have Travis Bliffen. Travis is the CEO of Stellar SEO. Travis, thank you for being on the show today.
Yes, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Travis, can you tell the listeners who you are, what you do, and why we are here today?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm the founder of Stellar SEO. We've been around since 2012, and we do search engine optimization. For those of you not familiar with that, it's just a marketing channel we use pretty effectively to generate leads online. And I'm sure we'll go into that more in a minute, but that's the 30-second overview of myself.
And you specialize in real estate exclusively, correct?
So we do a few related industries. So we do real estate, finance,
Sure.
and legal. And it just so happens there's a decent overlap with those three fields. So like real estate, finance or real estate legal, and we do personal injury, but a big focus in the real estate market, especially mortgage brokers, that kind of stuff. So we're super familiar with the industry overall.
So, for the listener who doesn't know what SEO is, can you give like a fifth grader
Mhm.
explanation as to what SEO is?
Yeah, so basically you go to Google, you search for something, you're going to see a few things. Paid ads at the very top. Below that, you might see a map pack. So you're going to see three businesses with reviews. That's local SEO. And then anything you see below that until you get to the ads is an organic SEO result. And so people hire us so that they can show up more commonly for frequent terms people use whenever they're going to search for the solution to a problem, or if they're at the very bottom of the funnel, if they're looking for a particular service or product to resolve the problem. And so that's really what we do is we improve the visibility of people with a target audience, which is fairly exclusive to inbound marketing versus some outbound stuff. So that's why it's taken off like crazy and will be around for a long time.
So, so why is SEO important in 2024?
Yeah, so the big thing is there's a lot of noise everywhere you go, right? Facebook, social media, people get blind to ads sometimes, and there are very creative ads that break through and they work out really well, but it's also about the timing. So what makes SEO really important is if I go to Google and I do a search for something related and you show up, the timing's always right. Whereas if you catch me with a call, you catch me with an ad, whatever, maybe it's not the right time. And so you have the great message, you have the perfect solution, but I'm just not really in the mood to hear about it. And so that's kind of the key distinction with SEO and why it's important is because you reach people in a very, very busy world at the right time because that's when they've set aside time to find it. Beyond that, of course, it's important because it's a great way to produce revenue for your business, get a good ROI, business continues to grow. Us, for example, we're in our 12th year in business. We were still on the Inc. 5000 list this year. We grew 137% over the past 36 months. And so it works now, it works in the beginning, and it continues as you continue to expand your presence. So it's very effective and it's very targeted. So that's why I think it's important.
So, a common misconception with SEO is that you like start and it works like that.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
are the time frames you're seeing with your SEO efforts right now?
Yep. So first, I'll add one thing to your common misconception. The other one that we hear from people all the time is two really big questions. How long is this going to take to work? And people use paid ads, and so they're used to okay, I'll spend $100. I see I made $110, so let me scale that up. So they come to SEO sometimes with the mindset, let me test SEO out, and then if it works, I'll spend more money. Well, the bad news is if you could spend less money and it worked, you wouldn't need to spend more money, right? There's no reason to do that. So there's a certain amount that you have to do to be successful with SEO. And that's what a lot of SEO companies don't really tell you. And that's why these timelines are very hard to pin down. And sometimes it's never, right? So if you look at it very broadly, you talk to an SEO agency, they don't tell you exactly what you need to do. And they say on average, SEO takes 6 to 12 months to work. And why would they do that? Because then you can pay them for 6 or 12 months. You realize that you wasted your money, and now you move on to a new agency. And in the meantime, they replaced you in the last 3 months of your contract. So it's a business model for agencies, which I hate. So the way that we answer your question, because it's the most common one that we get, and it is answerable, is we break SEO into two things. We have a campaign, but the first thing we do is an audit and a roadmap. So a lot of SEO agencies, they will give free audits, free audits, free audits. That's their offer. We actually charge for those, right? Because we're pulling the audit, but we're building a roadmap. The reason why is because we can then look at it and say, okay, here's what you wanted to accomplish. Here's who's already accomplished it. Here are the exact things that you do not have that everybody else has who's accomplished what you want to. And here's how much that costs. And so then we know we're working towards a very fixed goal. And with that, here's how much it costs to accomplish this. And then your monthly budget determines the timeline. So if it costs $100,000 and you said, okay, let's do that in 5 months, or you said, let's do that in 12 months, that's going to impact it because there's a certain amount of work we have to do. And once we do the work, we can expect to see the payoff of it. So that's why it's not as cut and dry as people would have you believe.
So what's an average budget for a commercial or for a real estate agency or brokerage or broker that they should expect with a
It's
company?
really it's all over the place depending on your location and how aggressive you want to be as well, right? So you could be $2,500 per month, or you could be in excess of $100,000 per month. And there's campaigns, if you look at major, like take NerdWallet, right? They have a multi-million-dollar content marketing plan that's a part of their overall SEO plan. So there's a very broad range. That's the second part of why we do the audit and the roadmap, actually, is because we want to figure out if you're going to make any money. Like, you can hire us, we can rank stuff all day, but it doesn't mean you're going to make any money. And if you're not going to make money, what's the point, unless you have some other point. But if you're a business, you generally want to make money. So that's the other part we look at in the beginning is, okay, based on your competition, we think it would cost this many dollars. But based off of the math, click-through rates, average conversion rate, customer lifetime value, we know that it will produce this much money. So there's either going to be a return there or not. That's why certain industries work really well. Real estate, commercial real estate investors, mortgage brokers. It's hard to mess up a campaign if you successfully rank the things that you should, because there's generally a good margin there. We bought last November, we invested in a house. It had been on the market for a while. They weren't able to sell it. As soon as we bought it and closed on it, there was about $180,000 in equity. We just got a great deal on the house because they couldn't sell it and they had to get out. Right. And so, if I had paid an SEO company 60 grand or $70,000 and they brought that to me, I've doubled my money, I'd be pretty happy with it. But if I paid him 180,000 and I only made 90 would be very high. So that's why it's not as cut and dry on the price. There's a minimum amount you have to do based on your competitors. And that's what we uncover with the audit roadmap part. But beyond that, you can also start to then push the boundaries. Do you want to go and do things that they haven't done yet and continue to be aggressive? And so we look at it as, we can rank anything in any industry, but should we do it? That's the important question, because sometimes it makes money and sometimes it doesn't. Reason why, somebody may be better at monetizing something than you are. And so if they can monetize it for double the value, they can spend twice as much as you and still see a good return. And that's the biggest thing. Also, I feel in general, a lot of SEO companies don't want to tell you that part of it, because it tends to get into the weeds a little bit. But that's how we look at it, and that's why it is such a broad range. And we have clients literally on both ends of the spectrum with that. So it's very much about your competition, about your situation, and about putting together something that accomplishes what you want it to. Because if it can't do that, you might as well spend the money somewhere else they can.
Alrighty, let's get into it. I own a small but mighty commercial real estate brokerage where we only transact warehouses in
Mm-hmm.
the Denver metro area. Okay, we transact in Colorado
Mm-hmm.
warehouses. I have I have built our company off of online marketing
Mm-hmm.
very successfully. I struggle with SEO. And when I type in commercial real estate broker Denver, industrial real estate broker Denver, I see the big companies come up, but then I see a few local shops rank really high.
Mm-hmm.
I am having a hard time. I've hired SEO companies, I've fired SEO companies. I'm not doing any SEO right now. What am I doing wrong? And how do I rank in the top three? Because I want it bad.
Yeah. Did you start with a free audit and then pay a retainer with no clear plan by chance?
Probably.
That's 90% of the
Probably.
time what happens. So there's a couple things there. One, it comes down to keyword selection, right? So you have the broad ones. You may say commercial real estate broker, but there can be sub keywords of that which are more friendly to smaller websites that will also have a high
Mm.
value. And so that's probably the first thing that may have went wrong is um, they either didn't look far enough into the keywords to figure out which ones other local sites were able to rank for versus only large websites, or part
Mm.
two is they found the right keywords, but then they skipped that part where they explained to you what was happening between the large websites and the smaller websites. And that's probably the missing part of the SEO puzzle there is they didn't want to scare you off, so they didn't say, "Hey, here's what may happen. It may not happen. You may be able to rank faster, but we like to average everything out. We like to use numbers as much as we can." And so when I say that, I mean everything: number of links, amount of content, content length, anchor text ratios. Everything is based off of averages and numbers and stats because it helps us establish a range. And we've just found that to be
Sure.
really effective over the years. And every time any industry, you go to an industry you've never worked in, you still pull out the averages and you're able to come up with a plan that's pretty accurate and that it works. So I'd say that that's where it went wrong. Now, there could be other things without knowing, you know, do those other people have a storefront location and maybe you have a service area or you only do online. There's a lot of small things there that would also impact your ability to rank, whether it's organic or it's local. Two different set of ranking factors there as well. Um, so it would be hard to say exactly what happened, but I'd say month one in the strategy part is when your SEO plan failed. That's when most SEO plans sink or swim, is when they make the plan. And the rest of the time, you're just waiting to find out whether or
Uh,
not they got it right.
it's so funny. Can you explain to the listeners when I say top three, you know what I'm talking about? But if
Mhm.
somebody doesn't know what I'm talking about, what's top three and why is it so important in relation to SEO?
Yeah, so top three could either be, again, going back to the map pack, it could be those three listings, or it could be the top three below the map pack. So it would basically be the top three of either that isn't paid ads. The reason it's important is because click through rates, the amount of people who actually click on your website, goes down very sharply. Position one may get 30 to 40% of clicks, whereas position three may drop all the way down to 18 to 20%. And there's various stats around there, but basically you could see about a 50% reduction between position one and three. And so
Wow,
one of our favorite things is when people come to us
crazy.
and say, how long will it take to see some results? And they have a bunch of keywords, say in the top five, but they're not in spot one or two. You move those up a few spots and you're really off to the races with that. So to go back to that question a little bit, your starting situation will have a big impact on timeline as well for that very reason.
Hmm.
If all of your keywords rank number four and we only had to move them up one spot, a couple months and you're going to see a big improvement versus somebody who has to go through the entire process start to finish and then get them into the top three. But yeah, the top three, by and large, the clicks will go there. If you get a really high search volume term, you will see traffic a little further down the page. Um, but I've seen it to the
Sure.
extent where position five versus position one was close to 3x and it was a really high volume term, DSCR loans. So about 50,000
Hmm.
searches a month, and the click through rate was roughly tripled between position 5 and 1.
Wow. So, what are other ways besides hiring an SEO company that a small or medium sized commercial real estate broker could do? What are the steps that a commercial real estate broker could do to increase their SEO before they come to you to
Hmm.
just smooth out a whole package?
Yeah, so basically, the biggest thing with SEO is looking at what's already there. Google says a lot of stuff, and most of it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it does if you get yourself in trouble, but you really sometimes have to be pretty egregious in your efforts to get penalized. But um, it's about looking at your competitors. So if you have your site and you have three other people, just even without a really deep understanding of SEO, click through the website. What pages do they have? What are they talking about in
Hmm.
their blog section or resources section? What kind of questions are they answering? And then look further at that. If they're answering a question, is it a couple paragraphs? Is it 2,000 words long? Did they include a bunch of resources or statistics? Have they curated firsthand data? What are they actually doing to be successful, and can you go and replicate that yourself? And if you have the time and effort, you can do a lot of those things yourself. You take extra time. It's kind of like developing real estate. I'm not a real estate developer, but from what I gather, it takes about forever to get the land flattened and ready, and then as soon as they pour the foundation, the whole house is up in like 3 days. So the same thing with SEO, right? Very similar. You need to spend a
Hmm.
lot of time mapping out exactly what you're going to do and planning. And then once you do that, the rest of it can come together pretty quickly. And so you break it down, but that's what I would do. Of course, if you're not familiar at all with SEO, you need to go online, you need to read free resources, look at stuff. But keep in mind, it really comes down to your industry, because there's going to be a lot of advice that's not bad advice, and in some industries it's the perfect advice, but in your case it may not work. A
Sure.
simple example of this is anchor text ratios. So 10 years ago, Google decided if you over optimize your anchor text profile, we're not going to rank you anymore. That's what happened with the 2011 2012 updates. Before, if you wanted to rank for red shoes, every anchor text to your website should say red shoes. Google flipped the
Hmm.
switch and said, no, no, that doesn't seem right. Now we're going to just crash all those sites, and we need to see diversity. So for 10 years, 12 years now, the answer has been you have to have diversified anchor text. Don't over optimize, could be bad. If you go to some local
Wow.
markets and you look, their anchor text profile is insanely over optimized, 60, 70% all the sites that rank. Now, if you tried that in the wrong industry, you would be in big trouble. But in some cases, it's literally the only way to accomplish it for a small business is you need to replicate what's there. So it's about just be as granular as you can with everything that has to do with your website, and start checking them off. Whichever ones you can check off yourself, do those first.
Let me ask you, with Google rolling out the AI platform,
Mm-hmm.
what does the future of SEO look like?
So I don't think it's going to change quite as much as you it. So AI sounds really fun, okay, but if you look at the AI overview, a lot of what they're doing is they're just pulling the answers from high authority websites. So the
Hmm.
future of AI for now is just go and get published on high authority sites, and there's a good likelihood that will get pulled into the AI overview. We actually, a growing lead source that we have, which is very funny because it tracks the source for all the leads we have, is ChatGPT. And so what they're doing is they're finding us listed on third party list of being the best at various things. And then it's just pulling those in because it's an authoritative site like Clutch or one of those sites. And then they're contacting
Hmm.
us. So it's in the future, AI may really be AI, but right now it's more so data. It's a really advanced version of scraping and rewriting the original thing. And
Yeah.
you can tell by those links that they put there, like they're not doing a really good job of surfacing hidden magic. They're just pulling from authority sites. And so I don't see how they'll change that a lot either. Because if you think about it, say they want to give AI results in medical. are you going to trust a site that you've never heard of, or are they probably going to go and want to show results from the Mayo Clinic or one of those other more trusted sources? So a lot
True.
of that will be same thing. If you're in commercial real estate, Google all the things you can think of, look at the site links and see if you notice a trend. You may see these are all sites I could go and get listed on. So even before my own SEO takes off, I'm able to get listed on this site, and I'm probably going to start showing up in the AI overview. So I think we've got a while before there's a major change, um,
Yeah,
because it's just not as advanced as it sounds. A lot of it. Now, don't get me
sure.
wrong; it's very advanced, but for the retrieval part of it, they're just pulling authority sites for now, by and large. There's exceptions to that, but
It's so cool. I think I am so jazzed up about the internet and the intersection with commercial real estate. But obviously, if you're listening to this, you know that, and clearly, Travis, you get it because you're a guest on the show. Travis, what makes you happy with what you do in real estate SEO in your day to day?
yeah. So two things I like on a personal level, like being very selfish. Uh, I like that it's an ever evolving industry. So every day I get to play detective a little bit to figure out what's changed, what's going on, what's happening, and so it's not gotten boring in all of this time. And of course now running the company as a CEO versus when I started the company, it was a one person company. So I don't know if you would call it a company at
Hmm.
that point. So as that evolved, I really enjoy that. So problem solving, it keeps things very interesting, and that's my selfish joy of it. On the flip side of that, of course, we have had big businesses. They're generally okay. We have had small clients come to us, and they have a problem. They got a bad SEO agency. Like it really was very damaging to them. And one comes to mind. They had a charter boat in the Virgin Islands, and so they had hired another SEO company. They lost all of their rankings. Like it was bad. Like they were about to have to sell the boat. That was their main source of income. Like it was a bad deal, and it was a small project that we generally wouldn't take on. But I felt horrible for the people, and so I said, okay, look, we're going to do an audit, and that's it. We're going to tell you what to fix. You can fix it yourself, and your problem will be solved. And so we did. We did the full audit for them. We gave them very detailed directions. We gave it back to them. We never touched their website again, and they've just implemented everything we told them to, and they've got their rankings back in the area. So now their income's back. Whole thing is back. So those things. A second one, a real estate investor came to us. He got his site penalized during the helpful content update last year, right? So his traffic, his leads plummeted. It's him and his father's smaller company scenario there as well. And he had lost all of his traffic. He hired us to recover the penalty, and we actually were able to do that once Google rolled out. We revised his entire website. Google rolled out their updates a month or two ago, and his traffic is higher than it's ever been historically. And so those ones I like because it really makes a big impact. Whereas a very large company, it makes an impact and it saves job, it does. But sometimes on the very personal level connection, you can see like this, if they chose us versus somebody else, they could have a completely different life on the other side of this because of their decision. And so that really is very powerful when you're able to pull that out for people like that.
Amazing. Travis, where can the listeners find you, follow you, contact you, etc.?
Yeah. So to contact us, just go to stellarseo.com. It's hard not to find a way to contact us once you're there. Um, I'm only really active on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn / Travis Bliffen, pretty straightforward there. You can find me. But yeah, definitely check out our site, our blog. We have a lot of good information on there. So if you are at this stage, especially where you want to try to do it yourself, the information that we have on our blog is based on firsthand experience and less on theory. So you'll really be able to take that and implement it, because a lot of it I've produced myself, where I've helped with the production of, and so I know for sure that it's stuff that works because we use it ourselves. So I definitely check that out. It's won't be a waste of time.
Travis, we really appreciate you on Commercial Real Estate Secrets. And for everybody listening, We'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to Commercial Real Estate Secrets. If you have found our podcast to be valuable, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite streaming platforms, and make sure to follow us on social media at Aviva Real Estate. For brokerage services or to get in touch with us, head over to thewarehousehotline.com and submit a contact form. My name is Aviva. This is Commercial Real Estate Secrets. We'll see you next week.